are not alone on your journey. Listen in to the Unshakable Living Show, Supernaturally and Divinely Unshakable with Lysa Beltz. Twice a month for your well-deserved dose of positive energy and your personal reminder that you are perfectly imperfect, and that's okay. Find your true calling and influence the world around you for the better with your profound gifts. Walk away feeling truly unshakable. Remember, God can't steer a parked car, so step on the gas now with Lysa and let him do the rest. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm so glad you've joined me on the Unshakable Living Show. This is your host, Lysa Beltz, and tonight we're going to touch on 3 different topics. So we're going to kind of just jump right in here. So I did want to mention that on this last Monday, I was a guest on Dr. Pat's show for an hour-long interview, and we talked a lot about the unbecoming process, which is part of what we're going to talk about tonight. If you did get a chance to watch the show on Monday or listen to the show on Monday, I suggest that you go find it on the Transformation Talk Radio, either the Facebook page or the website. The archive is posted out there and you can go take a listen. We had some really great conversation. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about unbecoming. We're going to talk a little bit about time management and a tool that you can use to help manage your time. And then we're also going to talk about priority setting and a tool that you can use in your life to work on priorities. But before we get started tonight, I kind of want to go back and touch on some things about becoming who you're meant to be. And part of that includes unbecoming. So I'm going to read a quote. So this is my book that I published this summer, and it is on Amazon. It's Becoming Unshakable in a World That Is Shaking. It is renewing your relationship with God and having solid ground to stand on. So my quote at the beginning of the book that is from an unknown author talks about unbecoming. And I had it and I've lost it, of course. So here we go. Maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything you're not, so that you can be who you are meant to be in the first place. And so I want to talk tonight about who are you meant to be in the first place? And so I'm actually going to read just a short excerpt from my book because it tees this up and introduces the topic pretty well. So this is from part 1, the foundation. If you're anything like me, you seek authenticity and you want to know you belong to a bigger purpose in life. You're certain there's a divine creator, and you'd like to trust and believe that he's on your side. Your childhood memories and experiences with Jesus planted faith and hope, but then life happened. Little by little, you drifted away from God, but you still know he's there somewhere. You occasionally pray or think about praying, but does God even want to hear from you at this point? When we have faith in our Creator, we recognize his goodness in our lives. This includes his acceptance of us regardless of how perfectly imperfect we are and all the stupid things we've ever done. Knowing he loves us and welcomes us just as we are, our hope will begin to grow. Our self-love and acceptance increases, and faith is reborn. Over time, that faith is strengthened again and again until it becomes rock solid. The result of an unshakable faith will be an unshakable life. And so what I want to talk to you about today in the unbecoming process is how do we even get to the point where we need to unbecome? The analogy that God gave me this week is think about a house that was built a number of years ago that had this beautiful hardwood floor. And then over time, as fashions and ideas changed, hardwood went out of popularity and linoleum came in. So someone put down a layer of glue on that beautiful hardwood floor and put some linoleum on it, and they thought it was fabulous. And then a few years later, colors and styles changed again, another layer of glue, another layer of linoleum, and repeat one more time. And so somebody new comes in now and says, you know, I wonder what's underneath all of this stuff. And you start peeling back those layers to get to the underneath, and you find that beautiful hardwood floor. I have several friends who have bought historic houses and went through this unbecoming process with their homes to find that there is this beautiful, gorgeous hardwood underneath layers of carpet and linoleum. So in life, the same thing happens to us. As children, sometimes we're told, you know, children should be seen and not heard. Don't talk so much. You take on that layer that says, oh, people don't want to hear what I have to say. Or we're told that, you know, only boys can do that, or only girls can do that. And so again, we put on these layers. And one of the best descriptions I've had is think of it as a black cloth. So we all are born with this light inside of us. That is our spirit. That is our eternal self that God created and spoke into being. But over time, our eternal self, that little light, you think about the song, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. That little light gets covered with a little cloth, and then another cloth. And then we make a bad decision and we tell ourselves, I'm just stupid. Or we tell ourselves, oh, I'm guilty, I have shame. And so all of these layers build up over time, just like our glue and our linoleum on that beautiful hardwood floor. And then we get into adulthood and we wonder why we feel stuck. We wonder why we don't really know exactly why we're here, what our purpose is, and what we want to do. And that's where we move into talking about the unbecoming process. And so unbecoming is allowing the Holy Spirit to show you what all of those layers are, and you start peeling them off. And the really good news is they come off a lot faster than they go on. Once you start that personal growth journey, that journey to becoming, you start identifying belief systems, things that you believed were true that might have been true when you were a child, but now as an adult, they really don't work anymore. You also find that as a child, you misinterpreted things through your 5 or 6 or 7-year-old perspective, and you assume some things that really weren't true. And so now as adults, we get to go through this process of going, what do I really believe? What is truth? And what do I need to let go of? And so one of the ways we do unbecoming is to just do a brain dump of the emotional baggage that you're carrying. And so you can just literally sit down with a piece of paper, don't edit, don't stop yourself, just write down everything that is heavy to you: shame, guilt, self-condemnation, self-judgment. I don't matter. I'm not good enough. I don't have a voice. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Any and all of those kinds of things that really aren't true, but we have bought into it and believed it. So once you get those written down, we're going to look at which ones do you have control over. And so find a couple, 2 or at most 3, that you actually can control, things that you can change in yourself. And one of those things that we always have the ability to change is our perspective, our attitude. You know, others throw things at us, but it's really our choice what we do with them. So think about what is heavy, what still has emotional baggage with you. And those are the things we want to let go of. So we talk about peace thieves. And if there are items on your list that you absolutely do not have control over, mark a line through them because you don't want to focus on them. The things that are left, figure out what you really want to change. And that's where we begin the unbecoming process. And again, there's not a right and a wrong. You can't do this wrong. Again, that's another thing that we get real caught up in is, well, how do I do this the right way? There really isn't a right and a wrong way, as long as you set the intention of finding your true, authentic self. And so we are driving through this in order to find our authentic self. That authentic self is the person that God designed and created. That's the unshakable, supernaturally and divinely designed person. And that's where you're going to find your light again and let that light shine. So I encourage you to take even 15 or 20 minutes tonight. Don't put it off, do it soon. Start that list of the heavy things, the things that are stealing your joy, robbing you of your peace, because you can start there. Again, we talk about, God can't steer a parked car. Get in motion, get something started, invite the Holy Spirit in, and then allow him to bring to your mind events from the past, belief systems that need to be examined. And some of them you may examine and go, yep, this still works. That's just fine. And on my first show, we actually talked about core values. And again, if you go out to my website, www.lysabeltz.com, it's LYSABELTZ.com. Under resources, there's a core values worksheet. If you didn't grab that last time, go ahead and grab your core values worksheet. That also helps you identify how you were divinely made and divinely designed, so that you can get back to being in alignment with your authentic self. So we are going to go to a break here. And then when we come back, we are going to talk about time inventory and time management. See you in just a minute. And welcome back to the show. This is the Unshakable Living Show with Lysa Beltz. And we've been talking about the unbecoming process. We talked a little bit about peace thieves and doing a brain dump on some of those things that are weighing you down. So at the beginning of the year, still being January, many of us set priorities for what we want to get accomplished in the coming 12 months. And I have done a little bit of that, but I haven't finished it. So I want to encourage anybody else out there that's going, oh, I missed the month of January, I'm not going to do it, I might as well give up. Nope. We still have plenty of time. I really want you to think about what drives your passion, what encourages you, how can you serve others? And so that leads me into talking about time management. And how many of us go, oh, well, I'd love to do that, but I just don't have the time. Or you get to Saturday and you go, wow, where did the week go? There were so many things I wanted to get done and I just didn't get to them. Or it's the, where am I spending all my time? So one of the tools I use in my life coaching is to have people develop a time inventory. And so literally for 7 days, you're keeping a journal or an inventory of all the things that take your time. And you're going to be amazed at how many different things you do during the course of a day and over the course of a week. And people always ask me, well, do I record every little thing or just the big things? And again, there's not a right or a wrong answer. I would not go any smaller of a time increment than 15 minutes. Although if you've got a series of several tasks that you do every day or need to do that, are in that 15 to 20 minute time frame, again, it's not wrong to record those. But just take your day, record your inventory. And if you do a week, do a full 7 days. And then also think about, are there things that you only do every couple of weeks or even monthly? I know some people that do their major grocery shopping on a monthly basis, and it's a 3 or 4 hour event. Make sure you account for that. Some people only pay their bills once a month. And again, it's a couple of hours. If you're not on the week where you're doing those activities, just make sure you kind of factor some of those things in as well. Just make sure you add them to your inventory. So once you've gone through a full week of capturing your inventory, you're then going to go through and assign each item that you wrote down a priority of A, B, C, or D. A being the highest priority, D being things that you get to them if you get to them. Now, the other thing I want to talk about with time management is urgent versus important. So when you're going through, if 3/4 of your list ends up being an A, you got to do it again. So urgent is a ringing phone. It may or may not be important. You need to identify the things that are really important. Now, if your phone's ringing and it's a car salesman or the car warranty thing, you're probably going to go, yeah, okay, I don't need to answer that. But if it's your spouse or one of your kids or somebody that is important, then a ringing phone can be important, and it's something that you need to take care of right away. But again, as you look at your inventory, if you have an 8 to 5 job 5 days a week, make sure you account for that. Make sure that you're putting in your self-care items as well. And I don't want you to judge where you spend your time at this point. Okay, the goal right now is simply to record it. Don't judge it. Don't go, oh, I shouldn't spend so much time on that. That's not the point right now. The point is to simply record and recognize where you are investing your time. Just like money, time is a resource, and it is a limited resource. So you're going to create this week-long inventory. You're going to go through and assign A, B, C, or D, A being things that have to happen or that are really important to you. For a lot of people, their prayer or devotion time, either in the morning or whatever time of day that you do your prayer or your meditation or your devotions and those kinds of things, that's a non-negotiable. Make sure that gets an A priority. Make sure you're thinking about things like, showers and fixing meals and the things that take time that it's really easy to gloss over. Make sure you've got a pretty good, thorough inventory, and then assign your A, B, C, and D. So once you've got that done, now we're going to talk about priorities. And so when you think about designing how you want your week to look and how you want your week to flow, you're going to take those things that are A, B, C's, and D's, and we're going to put them on your calendar. And so a lot of you have probably been exposed to the exercise where you take a jar, and I didn't bring anything with me, but so you're gonna have to visualize with me. You take a jar or a container, and you have sand in the bottom, and then a layer of rice, some small rocks, and then some big rocks. And when you put them in that container in that order, they don't all fit. You can't get them all in there. But if you will take your same container and put the bigger rocks in first, and then you add the pebbles, and then you add the rice, and then you add the sand, it all fits. We're going to do the same thing with your life and your calendar. So the bigger rocks are your priorities. So think about where you truly want to invest your time. Those are your bigger rocks. Those go in your calendar first. Lay them out, every day, whatever days they apply to. So those are your A items. Next is your smaller rocks. You think of them as pebbles or whatever. Those are your B items. Then you add in the rice is your C items. And then finally, you add in all of those little tasky kinds of things that are not time sensitive, that can be accomplished when you get to them. They have to be done sometimes, but they don't have to be done at a particular time. And so at this point, you've got your calendar pretty well laid out. And some people like to take that and replicate it into 4 weeks a month. And then you add in your monthly activities, if you have any, or biweekly or whatever. Like for me, biweekly, I now have my podcast, and this is a priority for me. So this is on my calendar on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain every month. Join me here again on February 9th. So once you've got your calendar laid out, then you're going to step back and look at it and decide if it is too heavy. We tend to overburden ourselves with all of the things that we should, need, and ought to do. And so I want you to step back and be objective of how many of those things truly could be put off intentionally. This is not procrastination. This is making an intentional decision that some of those things really don't need to happen. And you may find that there's a handful of them, or you may find that there's a whole bunch of them. But go through your calendar, particularly those C and D items, and see if you can either outsource it, see if it can be done, can they be grouped together and done all at once? Is there a way that you can simply eliminate them so that you have more time free on your calendar? The other thing I want to encourage you is make sure that you're including time for sleep. Okay, America, and I think worldwide it's true as well, we are some of the most under-rested people on the planet. It is not about how much can I pack in. It's about creating quality time and quality of life. And by taking control of your calendar and looking at time as a resource, you get to add quality of life. One of the things that I talked about when I was on Dr. Pat's show on Monday is that if I could teach my younger self any one thing, it would be to go back and live with intention. And so it's really easy for us to just get caught up in life and the week to week, the day to day. This is an opportunity for you to step back and set intention about what you want your schedule to look like, how much you want to have packed into your schedule. And obviously there are different personality types that either tolerate or thrive on different levels of activity. So I'm not saying, don't be productive. Please don't misunderstand me. It's got to be what's comfortable for you and what is productive for you. So I would love to get some feedback. You can comment on the show from more than just today while we're live. You can actually go out when you're listening to this, and I will get the feedback, I believe, via email. I would love to know what people are doing to make your calendars and your time work for you rather than you working for the calendar. And if you found this helpful, I would love the feedback on what is helpful about this. And again, you can email me at Coach Lysa, COACHLYSA at lysabeltz.com. You can find me on Facebook, and you can comment on the show on Transformation Talk Radio. And again, if you go out to my website, you can find my book, Becoming Unshakable, at www.lysabeltz.com. Also on my website is a link to my coaching packages, and I have room night right now for 2 to 3 additional clients. So if you're interested, we do a free or complimentary 30-minute session to get started. And if we feel like it's a good fit and we want to move forward, then we can talk about packages and what fits. And I would love to hear from you what you're working on in your lives. So join me next 2 weeks from now on Wednesday, February 9th. My guest is going to be Melissa Walsh, and we're going to talk about something about unshakable living as it relates to health and wellness and energy. So join us on Wednesday, February 9th at 6 p.m. Mountain, and we will see you then. You've been listening to the Unshakable Living Show, Supernaturally and Divinely Unshakable with Lysa Beltz. Tune in twice a month for your well-deserved dose of positive energy and your personal reminder that you are perfectly imperfect, and that's okay. Find your true calling and influence the world around you for the better with your profound gifts. Walk away feeling truly unshakable. Remember, God can't steer a parked car, so step on the gas now with Lysa and let Him do the rest.